lifestyle, I don't do it for life.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen.
Hi, and I'm Sasha, and you're listening to No Guide for This, a Bump-produced podcast. And we're basically going to be talking about all things parenting and adulting, but adulting with kids.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah.
And today's episode is extra special because I have my girl, Melanie Fiona, in the
Thank
building.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy.
Listen, you know, any opportunity that I have to team up with you, first call.
Yes, we have done it several times.
Several
ways.
times
Yes.
and maybe a few different decades.
Yeah,
but we're not
absolutely.
gonna get too specific.
Right.
But so Melanie, for those who I don't know who you are, who might not be acquainted, is a Grammy-winning artist. She is a mother of two. She is a host of the five-star rated podcast Mama's Den, which I'm obsessed with, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, cannot stop watching.
Thank you.
And amongst other things, she's a creative soul, and we are so excited to just get into this conversation.
Yeah.
Right, Sasha?
We're gonna get right into it.
Let's go.
But before we ask some deep questions, we like to start with a segment called "Can't Make This Up,"
Okay.
and it's basically what we see on social, what's trending, maybe some conversational stuff that we can kind of bring up, like what are these parents doing, what are they not doing, but. Wanted to start with something I saw on TikTok from Mike the Situation from Jersey Shore.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
He's now a dad of 3, and which, if you can believe that,
I was like,
but
that's interesting. Wow.
right. So he basically gifted his son a Transformer toy, and it was a very lavish gift. It's a very, tech savvy gift, but basically just want to ask you about your gift giving habits to your children. Are you a lavish gift giver, or are you a mom that just prefers giving experiences instead?
I feel like I'm both. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm both. I had one child for 6 years. So when you have one child for 6 years, it's really easy to spoil them. You want to give them
Yes.
everything. You want to do everything. Now I have 2 children. My second, she doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
Like she
Hone
really
that
does. She
in.
doesn't need anything. Like now I look at all the things. I'm like, she doesn't need anything. My son had a Hot Wheels room. He had a
Yeah.
Hot Wheels city we created. She
All the
still
things.
So you did
she's-
all that. Yeah.
She has a toddler bed and a kitchen,
Yeah.
kitchen set. That's what she likes. It's really interesting just to see how different people show their express their love or how they do. I think for us, experiences are really big for us. And our son knows myself and my husband, we're both in music and both in entertainment, and we travel a lot, and our son has seen a lot of that for us with life. So we definitely think about those experiences, and he definitely is like, hey, could we go, like, it sounds crazy, but he wants to go on staycations. Like,
Oh, he knows the
yeah, like,
terminology.
he doesn't
he is-
he doesn't know the terminology.
Okay, yeah.
He just thinks that like the greatest thing ever is watching a movie in a hotel.
being in a hotel. I feel like I was that kind of kid.
He
Just give me
thinks-
fresh
Yes.
sheets.
Yes.
Pack a bag.
It doesn't matter what star of a hotel it is. He just thinks that is the coolest thing to be somewhere else watching TV and eating food.
Yes.
Like he just thinks that that's crazy. So we, living in California, we can take little trips. We can go to the Bay. We can go to San Diego. There's Palm Springs. There's so many different places we can go. So I think for me, experiences are really, really important. Those are the things that matter. At this point, our kids don't need anything. They have everything they need. And so experiences, I think, are top of the list for me at this point.
I couldn't agree more. And so, Melanie, what you might not know is that Sasha does not yet have kids.
Okay.
And I am a mom of 3. And I have to co-sign that on the experiences over gifts, because how excited are the kids when they just get a box? Like, they can get excited about a box.
And
And it's like,
well, I mean, if you think about it, at a certain age when the kids are small, like you wrap these things up and they look at the toy and then they go back to the wrapping paper. Like at a
back
certain
to the
point,
wrapping paper.
They're like, oh, this crunches, this makes noise.
Yeah.
I think that, we as parents want to feel like we've done this exceptional job of rising to the occasion of either breaking, curses or cycles that we didn't get to experience, where we want our children to experience something different. And sometimes we do that through gifts and special items. And I just think you have to like see your children. And also I too think this is really important too in raising kids these days. Everything is an instant gratification
oh, yes.
generation right now. Like
Yeah.
they don't even have to watch commercials for their show to come back on. It's just instant.
Yeah.
And so I'm really big on having my children understand gratitude for what they have and also paying it forward.
Yes.
So we're not just going to hoard things. When we are done with things, we will donate them.
Yeah.
If you want a new regime of items or toys, we're going to pass on the other ones, and we're going to keep this going because that's something that I think is really lost in today's society. Is just we overconsume. Everything is
Exactly.
instant. We're spoiled. Even as adults, we have Amazon.
Even
Our
as
stuff comes
even
the
as
next
adults.
day.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we teach that to our children, like the gift in waiting, the gift of patience, the gift of gratitude, earning things, working hard for things.
Yeah, that value
Can
for
the
a
people
dollar.
in the choir say amen?
Yes.
Amen to
Yeah,
that.
it's really, really
Exactly.
important.
Because
Even
the-
if you can, even if you have the means,
Yeah.
there is always a lesson in there that is teaches your children great morals and how for them to be a good person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if you're super wealthy and you can afford to buy this
Right.
lavish gift. It's, do your children understand gratitude? Do your
Mhm.
children understand, wow, my parents worked hard for this. Like, it didn't just
Yeah.
fall off of a tree,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
So I think that that's really important when you're gift giving as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And
Totally.
the sense of entitlement that kids have, even at a young age,
Yeah.
it's something that we have to really
Yes.
keep our eyes out for.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Totally.
So the next thing that we like to just kind of warm up with is assumptions, because
Mhm.
as you know, before you have kids, you have assumptions
Oh.
about what parenthood or motherhood
a
looks
lot.
like.
Man.
And as you know, the reality is often different from the perception. So
Yes.
what were some of the assumptions that you held about what motherhood might look like?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll say this. I always take it back to pregnancy and labor, because that to me was the first ripping of the veil off of life. As I just
Yeah.
thought that was going to be the easiest thing. I'm like, I'm a woman. I'm going to have
Yeah.
I'm going to go in the woods and have a baby if I want to. It's going to be fine. No.
I'm gonna look cute in my
I'm going to be
fits
so
and
cute.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no. I put on 80 pounds. I developed preeclampsia during my labor. I had to have an emergency C-section. I was huge, uncomfortable. Just, I mean, the drastic shift of what motherhood started for me, because it really does begin from the moment you have a life growing inside of you. You're already caring for someone else. Every
Mhm.
decision you're making is for someone else, and that's like so important. And so the mental switch for me was just like overnight, like
Yeah.
body change, mental change, physical change, professional change. Like
Yeah.
everything was
It's a
happening
lot.
at once. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have this baby, and then you realize there's no guide for this.
Literally.
There's no guide for this.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, you are figuring it out every single day for what works for that day. You can heed all the advice of the people who have come to you and said, oh, make sure you do this and make sure you do that. No. And again, like me, when I had my son, it was 2016, I didn't have any friends that were having babies at the same time.
Wow.
So I really felt isolated trying to figure out how to do this thing.
Mhm.
And we lived separate from all of our family. We didn't have help. Had to figure it out every day. I had to learn to trust. I had to learn to ask for help. And, the assumption is that like you're just supposed to know what to do, and you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
You just don't know what to do all the time. And
Yeah.
that's why we have to have people that we can speak to. That's why we do have to create communities where we
Mhm.
can talk about what
Yeah.
it was. Because sometimes you do just feel so isolated.
Oh,
yeah.
that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. You
Right.
Because there's a lot. I feel like you said, even from the pregnancy part, from the minute that you find out you're pregnant all the way to having the child,
Yes.
and then now the parenting begins, all of those phases you don't realize, like there's no guide for this. It's okay. Your journey is going to be totally different to somebody else's
Absolutely.
too.
And different day to day, like you said.
Every day.
Right.
And I feel like you almost have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's the part.
right?
That's the part.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
is, I think I'm comfortable with that at this point.
Yeah. Like when people are like, oh, maybe that's the assumption. Oh, it gets easier. No, it doesn't get easier. It just gets different.
It gets
It
different.
gets different. And
Yeah.
you acquire new skills, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to evolve, and you have to change as a parent. I
Mhm.
think that that's one of the things that I'm learning now, having two children, one who's almost 9 and one who's 3, is that I have to be two different parents to each of these children because they are
I like
two
that you said
individual
that.
people.
Mhm.
You're not just, oh, I'm a mom, so
Yeah.
I know how to be a mom to everyone. No,
Yeah.
I have to be a mom very differently to my daughter than I do to my son.
Mhm.
And I'm learning that. And then I also have to be myself and a wife and a
Mhm.
creative and an entrepreneur. And that is a lot of brain power. That's a lot of brain power. And I think that that's the thing that people don't talk about a lot. That mental load is crazy.
You literally hit it on the head. That's what I was thinking. Mental load. That's one of those things. They say that women kind of sort of think we're thinking wide and about like
All the
several
things.
things at one time,
Yes.
whereas men might be a little bit more linear. But I think that is what is like part of our magic,
100%.
that we can literally mentally figure out all those different dimensions at the same time, but it is a lot. I mean,
Oh, it's a lot.
It's exhausting.
I'm sure you've seen these things like, where you go to the doctor's office and you got to fill out the paperwork, and it's the mom that knows how much the kid weighs, how tall they are, what shoe size they are, all the things. And the dads are like, I'll come for support.
Yeah.
But most dads don't really know that
Yeah.
information. Moms are generally keeping those tabs, you know? And that's not to take anything away from dads, because dads provide a different set of skills.
100%.
In the words of Liam Neeson, special set of skills.
Skills.
But I really do. Just God bless the women, because the way that we are designed to create life, to manage life, to empower, to evolve, to encourage. It is our magic, but it does. It's a lot. It's a lot on women. And so I'm very much in a season right now where I am so rooting for women, because, and I'm looking at men now and I'm like,
Thank you.
need to show up for women. Husbands, partners, father, like all the things show up. And the studies have shown, like, the greatest success rate for children is when a mother is happy and cared for and taken care of.
Absolutely.
That is like proven.
Yeah.
And so now I'm not just looking at us relying on each other. Now I'm looking at them being like, okay, guys,
You got to play your part.
let's all play our part.
Yeah,
Let's
we have data.
Yeah, we have data.
We have data.
We facts and numbers
we
to
have
back it
Google,
up.
we have doctors, we have statistics. It's not
Yeah.
1950 anymore, where you think going to work and coming home is enough.
Yeah.
For the women. Let's
Oh,
support the
100%.
women.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too that I think about a lot. So women, since the beginning of time have been doing all of those things that you mentioned, but now we're also supporting households.
Correct.
And we're doing that part of it.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
So-
Paying them bills too.
We're paying the bills and doing the things too. So it's sort of like we're just adding
We're adding.
to the plate,
Right.
right?
And I think that's the thing that I think most people, like, they kind of like to use it against women. It's like, you can't have it both ways. And it's like, wait a second. It's not about choosing both ways. I want to show up. I want to be a partner. I want to contribute. I actually want my children to see me pursuing my goals.
Yes.
That's actually really important.
Yeah.
What is really important is women feel safe, and they feel cared for, and they feel nurtured. Women are nurturers. This is what we do, but there are ways in which that can be reciprocated, and that comes from our children.
Yeah.
And we can teach our children how to do that. Not that it's their responsibility, but it's our job to let them know, hey, it's not all about you. Read the room. Like, hey, you see mom's doing something? I can't get to that right now.
Yeah.
And you teach your children, oh, mom needs a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or that we project so much that we've got it.
Correct.
And we're taking care of everybody else all the time.
Correct.
But sometimes read the room and realize the mom needs the
Yes.
attention, or the woman needs to, put your phone down, put this down, let me do it for you.
Exactly.
You usually take care of this, but I'm going to step in.
Without list.
Go relax.
Oh, I mean, my 10-year-old, like, he will get me
knows?
water. He knows when it's time to do the things that are at
Yeah.
his age level that he can do to
Yes.
support mom. Like,
Yes, but that's good. That's
Part of the
good
training.
parenting.
Yeah, that's
good
good
parenting.
parenting.
And the kids, if there's a partner in the home, a father or a husband, they take those cues from their partners as well, right? So, or from your partners as well. So I'm a big advocate for the partners showing up together. You are ultimately chosen to be together if you are married and you're raising children together. And also, even if you're not, even if you're co-parenting, like, let's be on the same accord about how we can respect one another's needs, so we show up to be the best people for these little people that are watching us, that are
And
taking
ourselves.
all their cues, and for ourselves. And I think that that's like real partnership. And that's the thing that, like, not a lot of people talk about too, because we choose these people to have children with. The children are going to grow up and go and be their own people. And then you want to look at the person that's next to you and be like, I really love this life we built together. Or you look at that person and you be like, oh, I don't like you anymore because we didn't take care of one another,
yes.
and that resentment builds. And so I'm really big on the partnership aspect of parenting. Whether you're co-parenting or you're in a marriage.
Yeah, it is everything. Melanie, I want to take you back to the beginning a little bit,
Yes.
because you and I met, and I don't know if you remember this, but we met in a conference room at Hearst. 10 plus years ago. I'm going to say 10 plus years ago. And I remember this vividly. I was, a mid-level manager, and we were, listening to different artists come in. You came and just sang a cappella in a conference room, in a glass conference room, and your voice blew me away.
Oh.
Wow.
I mean, absolutely blew me away. I never forgot it. And in my head, in that moment, I was like, at some point, I've got to work with this woman.
I remember this story. Yes.
Yes, 'cause you might not remember the moment, but you remember the story because I've told you this story.
Yes.
And, in your early days, I mean, I know you were raised in Toronto, Guyanese parents.
Yeah.
Take me back there a little bit. What were the very early days of you sort of coming onto the scene like?
It's interesting because I'm a child of immigrants. I'm first generation Canadian. I'm the only, like, my brother was even born in Guyana. So, like, it's just me and some of my younger cousins. I definitely grew up in a family that was very hardworking. I watched my parents evolve and change and pivot in many times of their lives, be entrepreneurs, work for corporate, take chances on themselves, start over, but very much based in education. Yeah. So I always knew that I had a gift of singing, but I never understood the possibility of making a career of it for myself, especially being in Toronto at that time. Like, there was no music Justin scene. Bieber, no big music scene. Everybody who was developing something in music had to leave Canada to go make that happen, right? Exactly. And so I didn't know the first way that was going to happen for me. And so I met this guy who was a rapper, and he was like, hey, like, you want to sing on this hook for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll sing with you. And I remember looking back on it now, the song was like completely inappropropriate. Like, I should have never.
Why don't I know this song? Wait, who?
You're like, it's buried.
It was a very underground like thing. It wasn't anybody that we know.
Wait, I was saying this is a rapper that we know?
No. This is a rapper before that. The rapper that you were trying to talk to didn't even know he was a rapper then. So that's the thing. Okay. So we'll get to that story. We'll get to that story. So so I was introduced from this artist to a studio. And they wanted to make a girl group. Okay. And I had never seen myself being in a girl group. I had always thought I've never sung with people. I'd only sing by myself. But I thought, hey, this might be a great way to get into the music industry. It was a great way to get into the music industry. It wasn't a great experience. Okay. Right. But I learned a lot, and that makes it a great experience, to be honest. And it was a stepping stone that just kind of led me in the direction of, what do I want to do? How do I want to do music? What do I want it to look like? And so one opportunity led to another, led to another, led to another. And then eventually I met my manager at that time, who was based in the States. And then here's my opportunity to go to the States. And so I started going to the States and working with different producers and finding out where my sound was and who my sound was with. And it was a really interesting journey. And on that journey, which I think leads us to our.
I mean, I want to ask about Drake. I want to ask about Drake because it's like this folklore story, Mel, that you notoriously kicked Drake out of a group.
So this is so the way the ego works is really an interesting thing. But no. So what happened is that along the journey, I was introduced to Drake, who was on Degrassi, and another vocalist by the name of Aeon and a musician named Dalton. And they had all known each other. I had kind of met them, and we started this collective called the Renaissance. And so in the Renaissance, we were just gigging and trying out. Like, I was performing some of the songs I was demoing in the States, and Aubrey or Drake, he was, writing rhymes for the first time.
He was rapping.
Yeah, and he was rapping, but he was still more of an actor, and he was very young. Like, he was younger than all of us. So we found ourselves in this really cool collective of artistry in the city, and we started performing locally, like little supper clubs, and nobody knew who we were. Yeah.
Like, I can imagine the scene would have been really small too.
It was super small.
Yeah, everyone knew everybody.
Sorry about that. It was really just more about building our chops as individual artists. And so what ended up happening was my team at the time was like, hey, we have these relationships in the States. Everybody here is super talented. Let's create a collective and take this to the States and start doing some showcases and stuff like that. Long and short of the story is, young Drake was extremely talented. No, he definitely cut it. Oh, okay. He definitely cut it. He was so talented, but I mean, young and not sure of where he wanted to be in music at that time. He was just starting, and television was his thing. Yeah. And so there was, I think, at that time, a lack of focus and commitment to what we were trying to build. And so it's not that we went on without him. We all just kind of left him and went and did our own separate things. And it's all love. Like, there was never anything. I know there's some interview where he was out talking. They kicked me out of the group. It's funny because we also had a conversation after that. And he was like, you know what? He was like, that's my bad. Like, I should have never said those things, because it's not like I have to take ownership of where I got myself to be in that place, because we were all showing up for rehearsals. We were doing our thing. And it was young. Like, we were young. Like, we're early 20s. Like, it's so young. So, it's all a lesson. And I feel so blessed that I was able to meet someone and meet a group of people from my city who would eventually, we would all go on to do extraordinary things. And that just says and speaks volumes to, I think, how energy brings people together and like people find like people. And I think we were all destined to do great things, and we did.
Yeah.
And so now we look at each other with a different set of like,
Yeah,
like,
I see.
remember,
I see you
like,
remember this.
yeah, you know,
but that's
and
your story. That's your journey, and everyone's going to have their own journey. Like you
Yes.
said, you learn things in the mistakes. You learn things in the new opportunities. So everyone
and
has
we
their
were
own journey.
And we're kids, and so it's
Yeah.
such a blessing to look back and look at the growing pains of all of those things, and just and then see each other out in the world or online and be like, yo, you know, like back. It's a long time ago, but it's
Yeah.
still such an important, pivotal time of our lives that really, you know, especially coming from where we're from,
Yeah.
that not many people get to experience.
And life is long, and you were kids, and now you have kids. So
Exactly.
it's like, and listen, you still have a whole half of, plus life to live.
I call it Act Two.
Act two.
Yeah.
Totally Act two.
Yeah.
But so speaking of, you are the artist. You are an artist, truly a true creative, and it's in your soul. At least that is what I get. And I'm kind of curious, when did you feel like you had made it in the music biz? Because you've literally collaborated with so many incredible artists, from CeeLo to John
have.
Legend. I mean, you've had
Wow.
such an incredible career.
You know, thank you. It's interesting making it. That's a tough question, because I still don't feel like I've made it, because I'm still making things. You know, made it feels. I think for me, the definition is impact.
Okay.
Is when you've made impact, where people feel your impact. And so, yes, Grammys are lovely. Yes, collaborations are wonderful. But I think impact is when somebody comes up to you and says, like, you changed my life, or this song is the memory that I have associated to my ... That's really, I feel like, what is made it. And so I still feel like I said, even though I'm still making things and I'm getting ready to put out a new project and I'm getting ready to go on tour again. And it feels like a whole new season of life again for me, because it's been so long since I've put out a project. But like, making it is it's the success when people respect what you do. And so when people see me now, even though it's been such a long time since I put out a project, they're like, where's the new music? They're still asking. They still are interested in what I'm doing. They're still with me on the journey of not just being an artist, but being a mother and being a human being.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really makes people gravitate to you. And I know Sasha and I want to know more about the second act and the new music.
Yes.
What's going on there?
Yes.
What's next?
Yes, as I say yes. So the project is called Say Yes.
Say Yes.
It's an EP, which is a short album for people who don't know. Extended play. LP is long play.
Okay. Oh, I just learned
welcome
something.
welcome to the music industry. And you know, it's just 6 songs, and these songs I think are really reflective of who I've become and who I am in love. I've made a very successful career for myself off of devastating heartbreak ballads and big vocals, and like Whitney Houston is clearly my muse. Like, I obsessed growing up listening to her. She was who taught me about singing and what it was to feel something when you sung or heard someone
The
sing.
emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Whitney is just, she's the one. But this project for me is, it's a passion project. I collaborated with artists, favorite artists, Thundercat, James Fauntleroy, La Russell, just so many great musicians and songwriters from Toronto, Akil Henry, people that I consider like homies and friends that I was like, you want to make some things? You want to create some things? And the pressure be off of like living up to a version of myself that I once was. Why would I want to be a version that I once was? Unless it's like, unless I'm holding myself to a standard of like my well-being. I've already done Melanie Fiona and the MF Life and The Bridge. Those are my first 2 projects. So now I want to be Melanie Fiona, the mother, the artist, the wife, the human being, the advocate, the empath, the healer. I want to be that. And so all the things that I create feel like that way. And so Say Yes is a song on the album or the EP, but also a mantra of life. And I want people to understand that that is a huge part of everything that I do. The messaging, the affirmations, the designing your life the way you want to design it. And so every wonderful and extraordinary thing that I've ever done in my life has come from saying yes. Now we had to say a lot of no's along the way.
Yeah.
We're not going to take anything away from no.
Yeah.
But saying yes is a way of life. Allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be the greatest, fullest version of yourself, to find the love that you feel that you deserve. You have to be willing to say yes, you know? So I'm living by this now, overcoming fear, allowing myself to keep going, to push myself, to continue to make it and make things.
Continue to make
Yeah,
things.
to continue to make things.
The hairs on my arms are standing up because I feel like you're speaking to me and so
Oh.
many other women, and also, frankly, the subset of moms
Yes.
who feel like they have given up a lot, or there have been trade-offs.
Yes.
You know, when you go through this transition. I mean, it's true. It doesn't mean that you won't come back to yourself or you won't be able to pursue the things that you want, but it takes a lot of intention to get back to that place.
Yes.
So I love hearing this.
I love
whole
that you
mantra.
said intention, because that's really what it takes.
Yeah.
Is it's very easy to just be passive and allow life to happen to you, but it takes intention to make things happen for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm very excited about this next phase.
Yes.
And so whilst putting out new music, I mean, there are two tiny humans.
Yes.
Well, not so tiny, because Cam, your son, is
Oh my
not
gosh.
a tiny human.
He is 8 going on 9, and he is almost as tall as me. We wear the same shoe size. He's taken all my sneakers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'm actually buying him nice sneakers so that I can take them back when he outgrows them in 6 months.
I think that's a good value.
It is,
Yeah.
right? It's a good investment.
Yeah, good investment. Okay.
Yeah.
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 No, that's great. So, but speaking of that, so whilst doing all this, you were still on your motherhood journey
Yes.
and making and raising and doing all the
Yes.
things. So what is it like sort of balancing? I'll do air quote balancing all of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I am learning what my definition of balance is now with 2 children versus 1. Again, being in the thick of creating music, putting it out, going on tour, because that's happening. And I do, if I'm being honest, have some anxiety about it because this is the first time I'm going to be away from my kids for a longer amount of time than normal. And so even though I've worked well through dispelling mom guilt that I think I used to carry, I very much I'm very much being intentional about honoring myself while honoring my children and doing the best that I can every day. And so that's what balance feels like to me. It's doing the best you can every day. Sometimes it's 70-30 in one area or the other, right? And sometimes, like, I always feel like everybody's like, balance is 50-50, but if you're 50-50, you're half-assed in both areas, right?
And some days I'm at full 100 or some days I'm at 10 and someone better do the other 90.
And by the way, and sometimes if 10% is the best you've got, then you gave 100% of your day. Like that's that, like, I think it's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
And so I am working on encouraging my children to understand that you just got to do the best that you can. Like even today, I was gone for a whole week, and I just came back, and my daughter was like, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I got to go to work." And she says, "I miss you."
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you know,
God.
and
Heart breaks in a million
right
pieces
then and
for a
there,
sec.
right then and there, I was like, "Oh."
You question everything.
Yeah, and I just got to her, and I was like, "I miss you too, baby." And I was like, "But I will be back later this afternoon." Right? And she was like, "Okay." You know, and so even though there are those heartbreak moments that are going on inside for both of you and your children, you also have to let them know that, like, we also manage our emotions and we do what we got to do, and we come back together at the end of the day, you know? So it's it is really important. I think too, for my daughter, I love her seeing me be me, encouraging her to feel like she can be her as well. And that is really an important thing that I am hyper focused on in this season of my life. In my act 2, I keep thinking about how act 1 of life has felt very much like this uphill climb. And then you get to this top of this mountain, and then you're made to feel like, oh, it's all downhill from here. And I'm like, oh no, I got to the top of my mountain, and there's a rocket launcher up here. And now I'm going up again. I'm going higher. I'm going to the stars now. Like, and I got my kids with me, and I got my husband, and I've got experience and wisdom and confidence and loss of shame and loss of guilt. And now I'm going to go to the stars. And now life just gets better. And so that's what I just keep thinking about in this season of my life is What do you want Act 2 to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to be for the next 40, 50, 60 God spare life of your,
Yeah.
years of your life? So I really am focused on the present moment as well, because I think we can obviously romanticize about all the goals that we have
Right.
and the things that we want to do, but we just have to get through each day to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I kind of manage my balance,
Yeah.
manage expectations, manage my sanity, because we can feel so overwhelmed with time and speed and demands and expectations, and there's only today that we know of right now. So
I
we
like
just
that you
be
talked
here.
about grounding and being in the now and not thinking or hyper focusing too much into the future.
Yes.
And I think that's where you mentioned something about anxiety.
Yes.
I have a lot of anxiety and I don't even have kids yet. So that stresses me out,
Yeah.
thinking of trying to have kids and starting that. I'm in that middle phase now. I've done all the things, but I'm ready to be a parent.
Yep.
But that anxiety of like, are you ready for that? Grounding yourself every single day. I really like that you mentioned like us moms, we have it all together, but we have anxiety.
Yes.
And we've got to work through things every single day, finding the balance.
Yeah. You
And-
have to.
One thing that I love about following you, like I love that I love you and know you in real life, but we're on separate coasts,
Yeah.
and you're the sort of you're the mom friend in my head. Like if you were in my neighborhood, I would be
Oh,
wearing, I'd be
me
wearing
too.
you
Yeah.
out.
We'd be
I'd
kicking it. Call me, girl. I
I'd
got
be
it. I got
wearing
you. I got you.
out. But I think it's important for women who do have kids. They've made this transition to see other moms living in the way that I see you living.
Yes.
And saying that you're going to center yourself in this whole experience.
Yeah.
And I think part of serving your kids is serving yourself first. Like you got to put your mask on first.
Absolutely.
So you can,
I like that analogy.
Yeah. The airplane.
the
It's always
airplane
like, put your
analogy.
mask on
Yeah.
first.
Put your mask
then
on
help
first so
others.
that you can be there for the other
Mhm.
people in your home that you are, nurturing and bringing up. And I love seeing that on your feed. I know you have, Melly Belly Mamas where you created a
Yes.
community. And what inspired you to do that?
When I had my son, I felt isolated, as I mentioned earlier on, and I didn't
Wow.
have any friends around me or even women in the industry that I felt I could look to see myself in them, to be like, is this hard? Is it supposed to be hard? Am I supposed to be
Am I the only
crying?
one?
Yeah, like, am I supposed to be crying? Like, am I supposed to feel like my whole world just shifted?
crumbling?
Yeah, like, am I supposed to feel this anxious about everything?
Mhm.
Am I supposed to be worried if the baby's breathing or not? Like, it was a lot. And so I started sharing some really hard truths online. And I think the first thing that really encouraged me was I did this video called It's Time to Tell the Truth. And I didn't even think I was going to put this out. I put on a camera and I recorded myself speaking out loud about the things that I was feeling 6 weeks postpartum.
Wow.
And I cried. Like, I cried and cried and cried. And I thought, okay, I was going to edit this thing and maybe put it up. And then I just watched it back and I was like, I need to put this out in its raw form.
Mm-hmm.
I need other women and people to see the truth of my experience in motherhood so that they can understand what they maybe haven't given themselves permission to feel, or nobody has honored or acknowledged that it is this hard. And so, and if it's not hard for you, girl, I love that for you.
Power to
But
you.
it was very hard for me,
Right.
the transition. It really was. And so that was the thing that started it all for me. And then I wanted to keep continuing to create spaces. And so I had gotten busy with music again. I had actually started the trademark in the company Melly Belly.
Yeah.
And then I kind of sat on it for a little while. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, I felt like it was the universe bringing me back full circle. And it was like, you need to come back full circle to this. This has to be a part of your mission, creating spaces for mothers and women and telling your truth and being the mom friend that you can call and say, hey, like, can I talk to you about this? Exactly. Build the village. And so in that time, I also started the podcast with the Mama's Den. And the craziest part is I wasn't pregnant when I started the Mama's Den. I was not.
Okay.
And I always honor the Mama's Den and shout out the Mama's Den for getting me pregnant, because they did.
Stop.
Those
Do
women.
I need to go onto the mama's den?
Yes. Wait a
Do I
second.
need
You
that?
gotta-
I need that energy.
Break that down. How did they get you pregnant?
So we were 4 moms that had come together. At the time, I only had 1. Cody had 3. She has twins, and same one as Cameron, same age, Brooks. And then Ashley had 3 daughters, and Felicia had 2 children. And so I come into the podcast as the solo mama. Like, I'm like, I got one. Y'all let me know. I'm here to support you guys. I've got this. And Ashley ended up talking to me and being like, don't you want to have another baby? And I was like, no, I think I'm okay. Like, he's already 5.
Sibling,
like, we're good.
They
Like,
need a sibling.
Yeah, that's what she's like. She needs a sibling. I was like, you have 3. I was like, girls, we can borrow one of yours. Like, we can just, we can have lots of cousins.
Yeah.
Right.
And she got pregnant and I was pregnant like 2 weeks after her.
Stop.
And I was like,
the energy in the room was like baby making.
I was like, you did this. I told her all the time. She's like, and I did. Because, but you know what? I think more than that, I think that it was always in the cards for me to have 2 children, whether I knew it or not. Because I truly believe God's plan is divine and we're here, we're along, right?
Yeah.
But I think that I was given an opportunity at a second chance of feeling the support I didn't have the first time around.
Yeah.
I was surrounded with community. I was surrounded with women where we were talking through the pandemic being like, are you okay? Because this is hard. Like, what are you doing with your kids? Like, who's in your bubble? Like, how's your mental health? And that's really what prompted the beginning of the Mama's Den. And so then I got pregnant and then everything kind of came full circle. And so even right now, like Melly Belly and the Mama's Den, they're 2 passion projects that I think are a part of my identity for the rest of my life. Yeah. When I decide that I don't want to tour anymore, when I want to be at home with my kids, when I want to do more podcasts or TED Talks or community circles and healing circles, like motherhood is my purpose in life. The healing is the purpose in life for me. I think, let me rephrase that. I think that healing and to be a healer in this life is my purpose. And how I do that is through creating spaces in motherhood, creating art and music that heals people, going out and having conversations, being in conversations with other women. Yeah. That is truly what my purpose is in this life. And so I feel so grateful to have identified that. And even a funner story. I always love using funner because it's not a word, but it's funner to say.
But we know exactly what you mean.
When I was 4 years old, I said I wanted to be a singing nurse.
Huh.
And
that's that creative and healing that you mentioned, like all in one.
And my 4-year-old self already knew. And as a child, like that was the funniest thing to me. I was like, who says you're going to be a singing nurse?
Like, what is that even?
Meanwhile, my 4-year-old self is like, girl, you don't even know. Yeah. You don't even know what you're about to do with your life. Yeah. And so I often shine a light on my 4-year-old self for being that wise and for keeping a tether to me as I went through this crazy life to always remind me about like what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Yeah. So that's it. It's music, motherhood, and wellness. These are the things I'm very, very passionate about. These are the things I want to dedicate the rest of my life to.
And I mean, you talked about impact being sort of that sort of symbol or the manifestation of, making it and continuing to make it, and that reflection back at you. And motherhood as part of your purpose to me is that is it. Because when I even see you, like I said, on the feed, like it can be one moment where I'm scrolling and I'm like, yeah, I remember seeing on your feed at night when you were going out. You were feeling good. You had your thigh high boots
Sounds
on.
about right.
And I was like, yeah, that's how you live. Like you have to serve all parts of yourself.
You do. And
I love that.
I love how motherhood looks so different now.
Yes.
Versus, my mother's generation. It was not moms didn't wear stuff like that and go out and do their thing and have girls' nights. It was not a thing at all.
No. And you know what, though? And you see our mothers now of that generation trying to find that in their like 60s and like later years of life. Right? And how important it is. And I just think that what happens is, and the beauty about evolution and motherhood is that we learn and unlearn. We learn and unlearn. We learn and unlearn. And I'm excited for how my daughter will be as a woman and as a mother. She will unlearn the things that I should have unlearned, and et cetera, et cetera. But you take what you need and you take what works for you.
Right.
But if there's one thing I can say about the evolution of motherhood is there is no reward for self-sacrifice.
Wow.
Wait, let's say it again one more time for the people in the back. One more time.
There is no reward for self-sacrifice. This notion that I did everything for and I just nope. I'm not carrying that narrative, and I don't encourage any women to feel that they have to sacrifice themselves. That doesn't mean sacrifices don't get made, but sacrificing yourself, depleting your joy, tolerating and accepting things that devalue your magic, absolutely not. We're not doing that, and I will never encourage my daughter to do that. So I need to show her me honoring my magic, me being my fullest self. And so that's why I love this era of motherhood and having sisterhood and friendships and communities and platforms where we can talk about it and say it out loud. Our mothers didn't have platforms and podcasts. Everything was taboo. They were suffering in silence.
Yes.
You know, they were doing
Keeping
the best.
things in.
Yes, they were doing the best that they could do to show up and be what felt like the right image or the right partner or the right woman.
And
you know?
competing to be what they thought was the right sort of, you know, prototype of what a mom should be.
Yes.
And thank God for sisterhood and community. And we have found each other and we are sharing these messages with each other. Transparency. Yes. Okay, so I would be remiss if I didn't bring up your husband and partner in life, Jared.
Yes.
You guys are busy.
We're so busy.
Y'all are busy.
We're so busy. This is the busiest we've ever been.
And you're both in the music business.
Yes.
And so that is not like some easy 9 to 5, punch the clock.
No.
You know, predictable.
There's no set schedule. It's not, it's always changing, I'm sure.
Always changing. And to me, outside looking in, y'all are in a season of, okay, you're on the rocket. You just got onto that rocket ship that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's what it
and there's
looks
that,
like.
You're feeling the shakes.
It's the shakes of going into the stratosphere. Yeah.
Yes. But look, you're gonna hit some new milestones when you get there. But how does partnership kind of work in your household? How do you approach the parenting, the partnership, trying to find time for each other? Yeah. Find time for yourselves.
It's much
because I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's much like the balance approach. It changes every day, and you have to just show up and communicate every day. That's also really hard sometimes because sometimes we don't see each other. We might see each other for an hour out of the day. In the morning, get the kids. He's gone. I'm gone. Or if I leave town, he leaves town. We're on different time zones. We're just checking in. It's not sitting on the couch and watching shows together. It's not having date nights. It's really functional. It's functional
relationship sometimes.
It's a functional relationship sometimes. And I think that like, that's okay. I don't believe in it being a habit, but I believe in there being an acknowledgement that it's a season.
I like that.
And I often think about Michelle Obama when she was like, oh, I couldn't stand Barack for 10 years. And I was like, you know, because we love them so much and we honor their love and we idolize their love. But we weren't there for the moments when she was like, I love you and I don't like you, you know? Yeah. And I think that that's something that people are like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to make it. It doesn't necessarily mean that like you don't love this person or you it might mean you're just experiencing some challenges that you have to now work through in a different way. You have to bring out different tools. You have to call on different tools. You might have to go to therapy. You might have to create schedules where it says this is our date night and no exceptions are to be had. I don't care what's going on. You tell whoever it is, unless it's, you know, the Grammys or something going on. Like, hey, we have this time for each other. You know, oftentimes we try to meet each other in different cities where we can.
That's fun.
Which is fun and makes it different. But also, you know, we also have to solicit help. So who's going to come in for the week that we both have to be out of town? Okay, sister-in-law, thank God, auntie, thank God, grandma, thank God, Nana, Gaga, granddads, like, you know, cousins, friends, like.
You need systems.
Yes.
You need teams.
You need systems.
Sounds like a lot of
teams.
scheduling. Yes. It's a lot of organization.
Functional.
It really is. I got a calendar for I used to see like people have this and they have day planners and things like that. I got one for the fridge that has like these dry erase markers that
That's a hack.
Yes. And this has been a game changer because we right now currently have Jared's sister with us, Auntie Jamie. We love her. And she's so helpful to us. And so it's important for all of us to be working in a system together. So this is when our son has rehearsal or practice. This is when Kaya has this. This is when we are going to be out of town. This is when I come back in town. And it also helps the kids see it. And we understand that we work as a team.
So including the kids.
Including the kids.
Yes.
Everybody's a part of the team. But, you know, I'm very grateful to have a loving partner who loves his children. He works so hard. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud that we can support each other in the ways that we do in different ways. We are different people, but we being in the same industry, we kind of understand each other, and that's really helpful. It's really difficult, I think, sometimes when you have two separate careers where people
you don't have that understanding of what they're going through.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be, you can feel very isolated in that. But with us, it's just, it's a season of work right now on all fronts. It's
Mhm.
work for our marriage. It's work for our family. It's work for our professional careers.
Mhm.
It's work for our extended family. It's a work season.
Yeah.
It's
And
work.
but if it weren't worth it, and if there weren't something
Awards.
incredible that is going to come out of, or that is coming out of
Mhm.
this season, then it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
right.
and
So it's you're locked in. You got to lock in.
you gotta
hold
lock
hands
in.
and
I like
like
that.
just
Lock in and just
you got
power
to
through it.
ride
Mhm, mhm.
ride it. Evolve,
Yes,
calibrate,
calibrate.
Right?
calibrate. And you
Mhm.
said dry
Yes.
erase markers. In my head, I was like, yeah, because guess what? It might change
because it changes.
Changes.
four
Yeah,
more times
yeah.
Mhm.
in the day or within the
Because
week.
it changes. Yeah. So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of scheduling.
Yeah.
More scheduling than I've ever done in my whole life, which is like, whoa. But I kind of, it's just one bite at a time. Somebody said this to me recently. They
Love
were
that.
like, the only way to eat an elephant, which sounds crazy,
Mhm.
is one bite at a time.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, how
Yeah.
did the two of you go from pre-kids, like before having kids, to after? And in that, like, was it a slow transition? Did you have to consciously like tell each other, okay, things are changing and we're on the same team, or was it hard?
Well, it's very interesting because we dated for almost a year and then we broke up for 6
Okay.
months and then we got back together and within 5 months I was pregnant. Yeah, quick. Quick. And but also at the same time we got back together with the intention to build a life together.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you need that
yeah.
break. What's that show?
Oh.
Like the ultimate, or there's like a show where they break up on purpose to go like, are we really in
that's
this?
the ultimate. Oh yeah, no, there
Yeah.
wasn't an
No.
ultimatum, and I was, I was not trying to be dating all these other people, but
Yeah, no.
but no, it definitely gave us some
Intention.
space to have intention.
Yes.
This word again, and that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Is like, are we being intentional about our love? Are we being intentional about the life that we want? And if
Mhm.
that's the case, we have to make this commitment. So when we got back together,
So
quickly.
the kids wasn't on the plan,
No,
like right
not
off the bat.
then,
Right.
not at that time. But
Okay.
but the kids were in God's plan, so
Yeah,
here we are.
right.
And so I remember I got pregnant, and I remember I turned to him like shortly after, and I was like, "Hey, so just FYI, I was like, we don't need to get married right now."
Okay.
And he looked at me,
It's like, what are you about to say?
he was like, I was like, listen, I was like, we weren't planning a wedding or planning an engagement within this 6 months that we just got back together.
Yeah.
And I was like,
But-
we're planning to be together. We're going to be together, but let's tackle one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're being together. We're going to be partners. We're living
Mhm.
together. We're raising this child together. The intention was always to become married,
Right.
but
it just happened.
our kid came first
On your own schedule.
on our own schedule.
Your own terms.
And then, ironically, we got married after that twice. Once
Wait,
during the
what?
yes,
Yeah.
we got married twice. So this is another
This
fun
is- yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? Twice? How does that happen?
fun story about how Jen and I actually were there. So we were planning a wedding in Italy, and that's how I met Jen because they were doing features on couples
Yeah.
and who
For
were
the
engaged
knot?
for the
Oh,
knot.
this is when you were at the knot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Melanie and Jared were one of our featured couples.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Things
we
go
were
full circle. Wait,
full
what?
circle.
Always,
Yeah.
always.
And then now you're here with,
Look, now
Post,
we're
yeah.
talking
Now
about
we're talking about marriage and motherhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we couldn't get married during the pandemic because everything was shut down. So we ended up just going down the street and like signing papers, and it was the best wedding we could have ever had. And then we had our daughter, and then we decided to have a backyard ceremony at the end of 2023 for just our parents and our
Mhm.
closest friends in our backyard. And our daughter was there; she was the flower girl. Our son was the ring
Oh.
bearer, and it was beautiful. Like even though we were
Beautiful.
already
Yeah.
married, having the ceremony with all of our loved ones was really, really important, and it was really just a celebration of the journey that it's been
Mhm.
from when we first started in New York and love,
that would
being
be
in
so nice
love
though to
and-
kind of look back and
Yeah.
ground yourself and go, look at all that we did, because you kind of go through the motions and you forget
Yes.
to look back and be proud.
Yes.
Feel, proud
then
for your
just-
partner, like where they've
Yes.
come and how far along you guys are.
the different
before you keep
versions we have seen
moving.
each other
The
in.
version.
Yeah.
The different versions. We
Yeah.
looked at each other, not just the two of us, like, hey, I love you. It's just you and me. We get to look at each other and be like, look at what we've built together.
Yeah, your mom and dad
in front
now
of our parents and
yeah.
in front of our loved ones.
Mm.
Like that was really, really special. So, and our kids seeing that, like that celebration of love too was really
Mhm.
nice. So yeah. So, but there's always a transition. There's a transition, like I said earlier on, like before kids, in marriage, with
Mhm.
kids, during work, in the day, in the night, on a Thursday, on a Sunday. Like there's a transition
Oh,
every
yeah.
time. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
imagine.
transitioned from the time I left New York for the flight to come to LA. My
Just-
husband and I had a positive shift, a shift in the positive
Yeah.
direction
that's exact.
on one flight.
There it is.
Right.
There it is.
There it is.
Let's shift the energy. Let's shift the motion.
Shift it.
You know?
Every day.
So I think you need to have that because you can plan all you want, and then things are going to change, especially when you're a parent. Let alone not being a
And
parent.
they need
things,
to change.
Yeah,
And you need to have that flexibility and that elasticity.
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 Yep.
There we go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutity, I said. You said elasticity. I said absolutity.
I know what we were
Absolutely.
talking about. What we
And
meant.
that was much funner than
That was
saying
much
it the right
funner.
way.
yes.
That was good. That was a good recall.
I had to try to bring it back.
I love
Okay.
it.
So I think let's shift into our this
Yeah.
or that.
Yes.
So we have
Yeah.
a segment, Melanie, called This or That we
Okay.
basically just want to ask you about career motherhood questions, but it's like fire rapid, so just
Don't think too
whatever.
hard.
Yeah, don't think too hard, just whatever the first thing that, comes to mind.
Okay.
So we're going to start with some music questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, do you prefer recording in a studio or performing on stage?
Performing on stage.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I live for it. I love it.
I
came
feel the
quickly.
nerves and I'm not doing anything. I already feel like the nerves. Wow.
It's the healer in me. It's the energy.
Yeah.
It's the feeling. It's the
Do you get,
feeling.
like,
Is it
endorsed,
getting
like
something
the-
back from the audience?
Oh, I
Is
totally get
that?
it back. And
That
of course, like
rush.
it's nice to hear people screaming your name and
Right.
clapping for you. Who
Oh,
doesn't
like,
love
no.
that? But it's really about making people feel things. When I see
Yeah.
people feel moved, that is my reward. So
Yeah.
on stage, I just feel like I get to do all the vulnerable stuff that I do in the studio when I'm writing or creating, then bringing it to the people.
Bring it to life.
Yes, bring
Yeah.
it to life.
Love
yeah.
that. All right. Well, still in the theme of music, win a Grammy or sell a tour?
Sell out a tour.
Sell out a tour. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you said you're going back on tour. Now
Yeah,
you're like,
well,
I really
already
want
got
to
the
sell
Grammy,
out.
so I'm
right?
gonna sell out a tour.
Yes. yes.
Also, ching, 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 ching.
Yeah.
Let's sell out a tour because we got the Grammys.
Right. Love that. And then lyrics first or melody first?
Melody first.
Okay.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
that. Working solo or collabing?
Collabing. I
Aw,
love
yeah.
I love collaborating with
Wait,
people.
quick interjection or question. What's your favorite collab that you've done? If you could
Ooh, I
only
like
pick
that.
one. Because you've had some good ones.
I do have some good ones. I mean, I got to throw it to CeeLo.
Okay.
Yeah?
Because we won the Grammys for that.
Yeah.
So I love that collaboration. That was also a really magical collaboration about how it came to be. So I that one felt very divine from
Okay.
the way
Meant to
that
be.
yes, from the way from the way that we met to the way the music came about, the song came together, and how it just organically became a success. It had its own magic.
Mhm.
We didn't force anything.
Yeah.
That song went to #1 with no radio plan. We never shot a music video for it.
I love when things like that
We've only
happen.
performed it twice together in life, and that just became a fan favorite for everybody.
Right.
And the Grammy went all the way to the Grammys. So
I like it when it's easy.
it's just
Yeah.
it's meant to be.
Yeah.
That's the
It's the
caveat of
magic.
life. It's like you put all your effort into some things and it just flops or it doesn't do what you expected. And then things you're like, I'm going to just do this for fun, carefree.
magic.
And
It's
then
just a
it
magic.
blows
Things are
up
meant.
and you're like, how did I do that?
Yeah, magic.
Perfect. And then would you rather see The Mama's Den adapted into a book or a TV series?
A TV series.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we're
We need that
manifesting.
life.
Manifest.
We're manifesting.
Yes.
First of
Yeah.
all, thank you for asking that question because it is totally aligned with the manifestation. Yeah, a
on the
TV show.
cards.
Let's go.
To me, that is should be happening.
Let's-
Like if someone's not working on that, like what are we doing?
Right.
Okay, let's
And
go.
I don't want to know like who would play you. I'm like, who would you adapt to? Now you're already thinking
Or maybe
ahead.
you could play you.
Or maybe I can play me.
Yes.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. I love all of it
Yeah.
though. I'm saying yes to it all. So let's go. Yeah.
All right. So into lifestyle, personal chef or personal driver? What makes your life easier, chef or
Personal
driver?
chef. Please,
Yeah?
someone cook for
1000%.
me.
Same.
I am so tired of thinking about what I got to feed myself and everybody else. Forget it.
Why is that the hardest decision?
It is
of the
the
day?
hardest. It is
But
so.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
the hardest.
It's
decision
so
of the
And
day.
I
hard.
hate that question. What are we eating? Well, you tell me
Right,
what
we're
we're
eating.
eating.
Yeah, what are we eating?
Yeah.
Why is it on me to think about it?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I have to feed
Yeah.
myself and others. I'm so
Mhm.
tired of this.
Oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you have to do it every day.
Every day,
Multiple
every
times a day.
Every day, multiple times a
Or
day.
you're like, okay, well, I'm going to cook this again.
Again.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's
You
what- that's
don't
what we're
like
doing.
it?
That's what we're having.
Something else.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then more date nights or more girls' night out?
Ooh,
More date nights.
Yeah.
that's
More
cute.
date nights. I love my husband so much. I do. And he really is one of my best friends. And I think because I get the Mama's Den and I get
You
to
have your girl
it
time.
feels like girl time all the
Yeah.
time. But I want more date nights. We're manifesting those as well.
Y'all are
Cute.
busy, so that's probably why
Yes.
you're like, we
That's
need some more
Yeah.
time
And
together.
And side note, they are
Mhm.
one of the cutest couples that I've
Aw.
seen together. I mean, I have to share this because together, you two, it's like there's camaraderie, there's
Mhm.
clear like admiration that he has for you. Oh my, it is just, you feel
It's
it.
oozing out.
It's
Aw.
oozing out. It was like the love, the camaraderie, the jokes. Like y'all are friends. Like y'all are homies.
Yeah, that's my
And
I
there's-
like
and
that,
there's a lot of
homies.
love. It was really cool to be around.
Oh, thank you.
All right, it
And
wasn't
thank
just
you thank you for honoring our love too.
Yes,
Shining
no,
a light
and it
on
wasn't just because I was pregnant at the time and the hormones were, but I was just like, this couple's gonna make it.
Yeah,
That's how I felt.
I love
That's
that.
good inspo. This is the vibe that you want for your relationship.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
right. And then are you more of a girl mom or a boy mom? You've got one of each. You're probably a
I'm
little
both. I'm
Mhm.
both, but I feel like I am. I feel like I'm.
That was a trick question.
That was a trick question.
Yeah.
'Cause- okay, so I'll say this. I think that if you have to choose, I say I'd feel I was a boy mom because I never thought I would have a daughter.
Yeah.
Like I had a son, and I was like, if I ever to have another kid, it's definitely going to be a boy because I'm a boy mom. That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm out
That's
there
my
on the
thing.
basketball court. I'm there.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like I don't think that necessarily makes me not a mom for my girl, because I played sports growing up. She wanted to play sports too, so I'm going to be out there with her too. And now I'm a
Right.
girl mom, and that's what we do.
Mhm.
So, but I feel like I'm a little bit more like my sister-in-law just bought her first princess dress. I never bought her and she loved it. And I didn't even realize
You didn't even
that.
think
You
she
didn't
would
know
I
she
like
didn't
that.
even know she
Yeah.
liked it. I was like, oh, is this a thing? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a princessy girl.
Yeah.
We're not a.
Yeah.
That's what aunties are for.
Yes,
They can fill in the gaps.
exactly. I know
Fill in the
you're a
gaps.
boy mom, so
I'm very much
you're a boy mom, so
Boy
I
mom.
know, so it is it's different, but like it is interesting. I think like those typical stereotypes things they've changed a lot over
Yeah,
the years.
Very
but
much so.
Yeah,
Yeah. And shout out to women's
Yeah.
sports, which is having a total moment.
that part.
Yeah.
Total moment.
Yes.
Mhm. All right. Last one. Toronto, New York City, or LA?
Oh, it's Toronto. It's
Back
Toronto.
home. We're going
Toronto
out all day.
all day, all day, all day, all day.
That surprised me.
Yes, and
right?
I love all three cities for so many different reasons, but Toronto is a magic and a home feeling that I just miss.
different feeling
and
when you go
yeah,
there.
and when I go home, I feel like I'm at home. I feel
Mhm.
understood. I feel seen. I feel like the most
Probably
myself.
a lot of memories.
So many
Yeah.
memories, friends. If I had to rank them, it'd be Toronto, New York, LA.
Oh, LA's last?
Oh yeah, LA's last.
Wow.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Is it last because you don't like it, or is it last because you also really like New York?
It's last because I am definitely an East Coast girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I love the sunshine.
Well,
I
I
was
mean,
gonna say, is it the weather?
the
Is
weather
it
is beautiful. We're
the
here for
vibe?
work. We're here for
Industry
vibe.
and
Yeah,
vibe.
industry. I mean, that's what brought us out here.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, when I go to New York, I feel like myself, and when I go to Toronto, I
Oh,
feel like myself. I feel like I
yes.
see women who look like me,
Yes.
move
We were
like
talking
me,
about that
energetically.
yesterday.
Just we're the same, and I have
Yes.
wonderful girlfriends in LA. That's not
Yeah.
even the case. That's
Yeah.
not even like I can't
Yeah.
say that it's just typical and it's one
Mhm.
stroke of the brush. But when I'm in New York, I just am like walk,
Energy is.
move.
It
get
That's what we
things
were
done.
saying.
It's
The
a
walk
different
is different
energy.
in New York.
It's-
the
it's
dress
just-
is different.
It's
the
my
way
jam.
you present yourself
Yeah, East
is
Coast.
different.
It's the East Coast for me. But Toronto wins because it's home
Yeah.
and big Caribbean culture, and that's like
Yeah.
a huge part
Right.
of my happiness and my happy place. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just make
Love
a
that.
plug. If you ever decide to come back to the East Coast, I will start sending you listings because I
Girl,
want you in my mama's
Let me
bed.
tell you something right now.
trying to bring her back
Jared
over there.
every day is trying to move back to New York.
Okay, call Jared. Call
Holla.
me.
Yeah.
Call me.
Holler. Okay, yeah, he wants to move to New York. He just, he's a New Yorker. So
Okay.
he is a New Yorker, and so he's always like,
He wants to go
"Hey,
home.
what if you want to? Don't you want to go back to New York?" I was like, "Does it still snow?"
Yeah.
Still
Once when you've been in
snows.
LA or warmer climates, it's kind of hard to
It's
go back to
hard.
doing the winter side of it,
It's-
especially
it's-
Toronto. I can
It's,
imagine.
it's not that hard.
And
She's advocating.
now listen, New York is hard living. It is.
Yeah.
I feel that New York City is hard living. Like
Thank you. That's what I
trudging through
think.
the snow, fighting for a taxi. Everybody's mad
I'm a warm
and cold.
weather girl. I can't.
Everybudy's
I look
mad
at
and
those
cold.
videos.
But it builds
Okay.
character. But I mean, a New York summer is magical. You
Yeah.
can never take that. Is the greatest summer that you could ever experience. Is
I
a
mean,
summer
be
in New York.
bi-coastal. Summers.
This
in
is
New
this
York.
is the dream. I think this is the dream.
Okay.
I
Well,
think this is the
selfishly,
dream.
you planted a seed. So
Yes.
now I'm
Let's
on it.
we're manifesting.
Right.
We're manifesting.
We have suburbs.
We're doing it.
We
Yeah.
have burbs.
If we move back, I would be probably in New Jersey.
well, you know
Right
that's where
there,
I
your
live.
neighbor.
I live
I would
in
be
Jersey.
I would be in
so-
Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever do New York City again.
City. Mhm.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So-
right. Okay. Love the this or that. And it wasn't quick fire because we had to get
No.
into it. But we're wrapping up. And we could talk to you literally all day, but you have that, that family to get back to. So
I do.
okay. So we have another little segment that we call Parent Truth.
Okay.
And it's where we try to just elicit the most raw, honest, unfiltered prompt. So
Okay.
you're not supposed to think about it too
Okay.
hard. Okay. if motherhood were a song, it would be.
She works hard for the money.
Hey, hey.
So hard.
And so you better treat her right.
Yes.
Treat her
Again,
right. Treat
back
everyone
to,
look
back
at
to
the
my
camera.
original
Treat her
thought
right.
about women. Treat her right. Okay, thank you very much.
I love that. And yes,
I really
agree.
like that.
You are working hard.
Mhm.
Okay. And just to close out, every question that we ask our guest, we want to know, what is one trait of yours that you hope that you pass down to your kids?
Oh, empathy.
Ooh.
Empathy. I am a
Yeah.
feeler.
Yeah.
I am the girl in the bathroom that sees the other girl crying, and I learned her whole life story.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important to have empathy in this world. I think it's always important to remember that you may not understand someone else's experience, but that doesn't mean that you cannot try to be there for them, to support them.
Right.
I am very much, and that doesn't mean you save everyone. Let's be clear, right?
Okay, I like that.
But empathy is very, very important to understanding conflict resolution,
Mhm.
communication, working to care about how somebody else might be feeling.
Right, like putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah,
You might not
trying
have been
to, at
there
least.
before, but
Trying to.
Yeah.
I think that that's really important. I consider myself to be a very empathetic person. So it makes me mindful with my words. It makes me take a pause before I respond. It makes me consider the things that I maybe didn't consider at first response,
Yeah.
or at first reaction.
Mhm.
So yeah, empathy. I want my kids to be kind, empathetic people. You know, there's a difference between being nice and being kind,
I like that. Mhm.
right? I want my
is-
kids to be kind.
That is for sure.
Yeah, I want my kids to be kind.
Melanie, thank you
Beautiful.
so much for
Thank
sharing that with
you.
us.
Yeah, thank
Sasha,
you.
this was fun,
I
right?
learned so much, and yeah.
And like, listen, just to bring it full circle, no
Mhm.
guide for this. That is absolutely
Yeah.
true. But I think by sharing our experiences like this, we can all sort of come to a better understanding of who we are, how we
Mhm.
interact with the world, and just understanding that, like we said, it's like a calibrate. It's day by day,
Absolutely.
and doing the most that we can with this moment, this day,
Yeah.
and then we go to sleep, wake up, and do it again.
Right.
Absolutely.
This
Mhm.
was such a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you.
Will
Thanks
you
for
promise
having
to
me.
come back?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we
Absolutely.
gotta do this again.
Absolutely.
Okay, and
Thank
you're gonna get
you.
some listings for me. It's
And
happening.
I'm going to get some listings, and I'm going to see you on the tour.
Oh,
On the
that
tour,
too.
yes.
We're
Yeah,
gonna see you on the tour.
that out.
need
Yep.
the dates.
Tour dates,
Yes.
new EP,
Mhm.
the Mama's Den. We're
All
seeing
of
on
it.
all
saying
the-
yes to
We're
all
saying
of
yes
it.
to all of it.
Mama's Den, the movie.
That's-
Mama's Den, the book.
The
all of it. The
show,
tour. We're selling
all
out.
the
We'll take another
things.
Grammy.
Yeah,
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us for
you.
this episode of No Guide for This, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.